Here, look at this. Look at this silly. Come here. Look at this silly label on the side. Open immediately. Please check contents upon receipt. May require refrigeration. All right, so.
So somebody put that on just for
well, they're taking it very seriously for what it is. So, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
You'll never guess.
A guitar.
All right, let's see what it is. All right. So, I don't know. We'll see if this thing is going to get used or end up going back for sale.
Whoa, that's a crazy pedal.
It looks pretty fancy, huh? Well, it's supposed to be like this stereo tremolo pedal deal, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's a really cool, like, hold it still for a second.
Okay.
Look at all those shiny knobs.
You like that?
And all that.
You think that's pretty fancy?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna check this out and see if it does what I want it to. And it's got this duo tremolo deal. So, all right, cool. Hi, I'm Nate. Welcome to the channel. And today I'm gonna do a pedal test to try and solve a problem that I've had for a long time now. I'm kind of on this quest to solve it. So I want to explain that, but before we get started, let's talk about, this is a Gretsch Black Phoenix, which is a custom Black Falcon. And then going into this pedal board, but the only thing that's actually on today is this JHS Morning Glory. Everything else is bypass. So here's our kind of our basic sound. And then the only amp reverb that you're hearing is from the amps, and that's about where I typically run them, which I'm sure somebody will have a comment about that. But anyways, and this is kind of my basic settings and the core of my sound. I like the amp reverb. I really like the vibrato on here, and that's kind of what we're going to dive into. Before we finish that, though, running into these Shure SM7s, which are running into this Apollo X8P, and over here on the computer, the guitars, you can see the signal here coming in, and those are both running in these UAD 1073s. As you can see, the EQ is flat. There's just a little bit of a low frequency cutoff, and the gains are where they are because these are SM7s. So, so now that we got all that out of the way, I found this magic thing about reverbs on, or I mean about these Fender guitar amps. They have this really amazing vibrato, which isn't a newsflash, but one of my favorite sounds in the world is to get these going with two totally different speeds going. And it is, sorry, it's kind of hard to play correctly when you're squatted like that, but it's pretty magical. It sounds really cool, right?
Yeah.
You're here in the room. That's pretty. Pretty amazing, and literally the only effect that I'm using is over light gain. It's not even a distortion pedal. It's just a very light overdrive pedal. So, just, you know, sounds awesome. The problem is dragging those these Fender like switch buttons around and setting those up at every show is kind of a pain, especially, you know, you get into circumstances where you have to get on and off stage quickly, or you have to set up quickly for, you know, maybe the venue didn't leave you enough time, or you know, heaven forbid you show up a little bit late, which, you know, even when you work really hard at it, doesn't always, you don't always get to the gig on time. So setting those up and dragging around and having to keep them in the amps, and then especially what is a real problem is when you're playing at a show where you have to use different amps and maybe they don't have tremolo built in. And so what I've wanted for the longest time is the ability to have a tremolo pedal that emulates that sound on my board, but allows you to run each side at a different speed, very like that, which I could do by having two pedals, but then you have to hit both of them at the same time, and two different powers connections, which is obnoxious. And then there's a lot of tremolo pedals that will have a stereo out but not in, but I'm doing all this other stereo stuff on here, so that's a problem. And then the other thing is most of them that do stereo don't allow for they're just panning. They just go back and forth. They don't have like kind of the two separate speeds thing. And so I've been kind of on a quest. I've done a lot of research. I've come across a lot of things, and I've never quite found the one that does that thing. So I stumbled on this the other day. It's actually an older pedal. Came out quite a few years ago, called a Hardwire TR-7. It has this thing on here, a setting on here called Duo-Trem. And I'm like mildly optimistic that it may actually allow for this idea. So we're going to try it out. We're going to run through all of the sounds just because we have it here, see if it's any good. You know, I'll give you my assessment on whether or not it's, first of all, if it just sounds good, which I'm presumably it does. But then whether or not it specifically meets my need, and those are two kind of different criteria, because it can be great for a lot of people and still be sad for me. And then we're going to turn this on, and I'm running stereo in and stereo back out. So very sadly, as I suspected, very much in mono. Which is just seems like such a missed opportunity. They literally have two tremolos going. You can hear them. You can hear them laying over each other, and they're not in stereo. I don't understand why they wouldn't have put it in stereo. Here's the bias. Sounds nice, but in mono on a stereo pedal. I don't understand why you would do that. All right. The opto. Also in mono. Yeah, this one is gonna go right back on reverb. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds totally fine. It's just in mono on a stereo pedal. I don't understand that. So here's the rotary sound, which is cool. Sounds like it's moving around a little bit, maybe hard to tell. This one definitely is. Holy stereo. Why would you have that and none of the rest of them? That sounds fantastic. This is what I would expect from a stereo pedal. Whoa, that's like really seasick. But yep, it does not make the cut. Sorry. The Hardwire TR-7 from Digitech. Nice try. Thumbs down for making a stereo pedal that only has 2 things that are actually stereo on it. You suck. The end.